and welcome to the second hour of this Wednesday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Let me get reconnected here. Keep disconnecting myself by accident. Found this story late this morning. Thought you'd be interested. It's about Finnish reindeer herders. This is in the country of Finland. My name is Brian Fisher, by the way. The program is Focal Point, again, spanning the globe to bring you all the news that's important to understand so you are an informed, literate, and motivated listening audience. This is from Helsinki, Finland. Rudolph the Reindeer is having a glittering antler makeover, the latest attempt to halt some of the thousands of road deaths of the roaming caribou in the wilds of Finland. So what they have the problem, we got a lot of deer here in the state where I live, and people are hitting deer all the time and killing them. Same thing happens with reindeer in Finland. So they're trying to figure out a way to cut down on this. So their latest deal is they're going to paint the antlers of reindeer with this fluorescent dye. Now, they've tried other things like reflective tape. They have tried reflectors, put them on the reindeer in some way. It just doesn't work. So they're trying this fluorescent dye on the antlers to see if that will alert people, reflective dye, that they're about to hit a reindeer. Now, I want to talk for just a minute. Number to call is 888-589-8840. I want to talk a little bit about this ruling in Virginia on same-sex marriage, where a federal judge overturned Virginia's constitutional amendment that reserves marriage for the union of one man and one woman. Now, what we are seeing in general is a hostility to natural marriage on the part of the left. Liberals have a visceral dislike for the preservation of natural marriage. Just in general, I think liberals are against moral standards of any kind. They want to completely shred and trash any kind of moral standards. They're libertarians. That's our problem with libertarians. With libertarianism, there are no moral standards in classic libertarianism. You get to do whatever you want. Nobody should be able to stop you. So there's this real hostility, and let's grab clip number 2 if we can, Rob. And this really emanates right now from the Oval Office, that kind of visceral dislike, that kind of animosity toward natural marriage is coming right from the Oval Office. And Ted Cruz was interviewed by David Barton on his Wall Builders program last night. And here's what he had to say about this president and his attitude toward marriage.
Manifested from the federal government with the Obama administration. This administration is the most hostile to traditional marriage administration this country's ever seen. And the administration has been using the authority of the federal government to try to force states, to force federal recognition of marriages that state law prohibits. The Obama administration came into Utah and said, we're not going to listen to what the U.S. Supreme Court said.
So Cruz saying, look, this administration is the most hostile to traditional marriage or natural marriage that we've ever seen. Now, I want to talk just for a moment, one implication from this ruling from this federal judge in Virginia that I haven't heard anybody else talk about, but it's extremely important for other reasons, and that is when the judge in Virginia overturned the ban on sodomy-based marriage in Virginia, she used language not from the Constitution, but from the Declaration of Independence. Now, I'll tell you why this is important. So she set aside, she vacated a constitutional amendment protecting natural marriage on the grounds that it conflicted with the Declaration of Independence. Now, she didn't even know that that's what she was doing. She got the Constitution and the Declaration all mixed up. And this is a ruling that is going to be vetted. It's going to be reviewed, probably written by her clerks, probably not by her. But a lot of people had eyes on this thing, and somehow they all did not catch that she was citing the Declaration and not the Constitution. What she said in her opinion, first paragraph, our Constitution declares that all men are created equal. Surely this means all of us. Now, it's since been corrected, but what she wrote is that the Constitution says this. Well, that's not the Constitution. That's the Declaration of Independence. Now, I'll tell you why that's important. People say the Constitution is a godless document, and we say, well, it's not the only one of our founding documents. You have the Declaration of Independence, It is the substrata. It is the foundation for the Constitution. And the Declaration clearly refers to the Creator with a capital C. It says all of our rights come from him. The founders expressed their trust in divine providence, the protection of divine providence. They talk about their sacred honor, their fortunes and their sacred honor. They talk about the laws of nature and nature's God. God is all through the place 4 times specifically referred to in the Declaration. So we say, no, God is in our founding documents. And they all say, no, you don't understand. The Declaration doesn't mean anything. It's got no legal authority. It's got no legal standing. It's the Constitution that matters. The Constitution is the only thing that matters, not the Declaration. You can't drag the Declaration into the thing because it doesn't have any legal authority whatsoever. It's got to be the Constitution, and the Constitution, in their view, is a godless document. Well, here you got a federal judge says, no, as a matter of fact, the Declaration of Independence, which refers to God 4 times, the Declaration of Independence does, in fact, have legal authority. It does have abiding, permanent, lasting legal authority, so much legal authority that I can vacate a marriage amendment based on the Declaration of Independence. Well, let's go to the phones, grab a phone call before the end of the segment. Let's go to Lee, Plano, Texas. Lee, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to recommend, because I heard you talking about another candidate in another state, Dwayne Stovall to take Cornyn's place, to let everybody know that he has a good following, and maybe they would like to look up information about him. He would be a wonderful replacement for Cornyn, who is definitely not conservative.
Yeah, Cornyn, in fact, I think Dwayne Stovall is not the only candidate challenging him in the primary. Am I right about that, Lee?
There's another one, but we agree, a whole big bunch of us here, that he is the one to replace.
So you think from, so Lee, let me ask you, so you think from a Tea Party standpoint that this Dwayne Stovall would be sort of the most consistent with Tea Party ideals, conservative ideals, to replace Cornyn?
Definitely supporting him, yeah.
All right, well, listen, I appreciate that, Lee. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Let's grab a quick call from John, Fort Smith, Arkansas. John, welcome. What's on your mind? Got about 45 seconds. John, are you with me? All right, I guess we're missing John there. John, give us a call back if we lost you there. By the way, I'll just mention one more thing about quoting Thomas Jefferson, which this judge did. Remember, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, and this judge cited Thomas Jefferson. All men are created equal. Thomas Jefferson wrote that, therefore, we have to recognize sodomy-based marriage. Well, Thomas Jefferson, the wrong guy for this judge to quote on the issue of homosexuality, because Thomas Jefferson, in 1778, Thomas Jefferson, 1778, this is now just 2 years after he wrote the Declaration of Independence, 1778, Thomas Jefferson wrote the bill for proportioning crimes and punishment. Thomas Jefferson wrote this bill. It proposed that, quote, Thomas Jefferson, founding father, whosoever shall be guilty of rape, polygamy, or sodomy with man or woman shall be punished, if a man by castration, if a woman by cutting through the cartilage of her nose a hole of 1/2 inch diameter at the least. Thomas Jefferson, the wrong guy to quote in support of homosexuality.